We're back. Time for another edition of the Carolina Insider Rapid Reactions Edition, presented by Modelo, proud sponsor of Carolina Athletics. And this one comes after Carolina controls a ACC matchup with California, 79-53, the final score. Carolina led for all but about 30 seconds of this game. Cal scored the first basket, and then Tar Heels took off after that. 3 players in double figures, 20 for Ian Jackson, 15 for Elliot Cadeau, 12 for Seth Trimble. Good to see Seth back in some rhythm after missing some time and being back a couple games, but looked a little more like himself tonight. But Adam, I'm Jones. He's Adam, by the way. I feel like the story tonight was Carolina's defensive effort. Maudie Sissoko, the big man for Cal, had a really nice game. He had 16 points. He was 8 of 9 from the floor, primarily because he was dunking it a lot. The rest of Cal's team was 16 of 60. Felt like they had to settle for a lot of long threes or long twos, just long shots, or challenged runners and things like that. And Carolina just made it very difficult for Cal to score. Andrei Stojakovic, who came in averaging better than 24 points per game against conference teams, had 6. He was 3 of 13. He had shot 113 free throws on the year. He shot 0 in this game. Carolina did, again, there are some things to clean up against. Sissoko had more success than you would like for him to have. But in general, really good defensive effort from Carolina against a really good player in Stojakovic and a team that can score in Cal.
Felt like Carolina having some versatility to put on Stojakovic helped. Seth Trimble spent some time on him. Really, everybody spent some time on him. Drake Powell put some size on him every once in a while. Elliot Cadeau spent some time on him. I mean, the Tar Heels just did a really good job on him, and that was the number one line on the scouting report, was to take him away. And if you take him away, someone else is going to score. So I don't think the Tar Heels were worried about Sissoko beating them, and he was not able to. In fact, it wasn't close. When you combine that with Cal shooting 3 of 25 from 3, they just didn't have enough offense to win the game.
Carolina kind of quietly did a pretty nice job on the glass. Cal came in as a really good rebounding team. They had more offensive rebounds than the Tar Heels would like early in the game. I think it was 7 at halftime. And then they only had 4 in the second half. Now, they still ended up with a fair amount of second chance points. They ended up with 16 of them on those 11 offensive rebounds. But again, it felt like Carolina improved in that area, I guess is my point, throughout this game. And Cal came in as the best offensive rebounding team in the conference.
And there were a lot of missed shots to be had.
Yeah.
I mean, 11 offensive rebounds off of 44 or 5 missed shots is not that's not going to kill you. So, and I think it was encouraging that I think it's fair to say Hubert Davis was frustrated with Carolina keeping Cal off the glass in the first half. They went in, they talked about it at halftime, did a much better job in the second half.
I spoke with Coach Davis. Adam spoke with Seth Trimble. We'll get to those conversations in just a moment. Did want to mention Seth Trimble, Adam, because he's been a big part of Carolina's team this year. And because of when his injury occurred, which was in practice after the holiday break, then he misses 3 games with his upper body injury. I mean, he was just out for a long time. He's played in these last 2 games, but only scored 4 total points and just kind of looked like he was feeling his way back into the action. He looked more like himself this evening, had 3 steals, was active defensively. He was a big part of that. Great job on Stojakovic. Found his way to the free throw line where he's been very good this year and just looked a little more like the player we've seen the first half of the season.
Yeah, you'll hear from him, and I know you'd rather hear it from him than from me, but I thought one thing he said that felt right was that he was more decisive offensively. It did feel like that. I think he's been a little hesitant the last couple games, and when you suffer that injury, that is something that sometimes happens. But tonight he looked like he was more going to finish and not going to, I think I'm going to get fouled. And that's the Seth Trimble that's been so good for Carolina this year.
All right, so let's get to those conversations. I talked to Coach Davis. Adam talked to Seth Trimble. We'll get to those interviews, come back, and look ahead to the weekend and wrap things up here on a Rapid Reactions edition of the Carolina Insider. Carolina gets the victory tonight against California, 79-53, the final score. 4th consecutive win for the Tar Heels, and they improved to 5-1 in ACC action. And I'm inside the Continental Tire Coach's Corner alongside the very nattily dressed head coach of the Tar Heels. That's Hubert Davis. Coach, your team led for all but the first 30 seconds of this game. I'm not sure I could say one thing that it did outstanding, but it just seemed like your team did a whole lot really well for most of this ball game.
I did. I thought, I challenged them before the game to put two halves together defensively, and we were able to do that. I think, we were locked in on Stojakovic. He leads the league in scoring. He's so talented. He can score, three-level score. He can get to the free throw line. So as a head coach, I was really worried about that one and that matchup, but I thought we did a good job doubling him when he went isolation in the post, and we did a good job of defending him without fouling. But I like our overall just effort, attention to detail, our talking on defense was really good. The only thing in the first half is we gave them 22 points in the paint, and it was off of second chance opportunities, and their post guys just getting so low they were able to score. And but in the second half, we even stepped it up even more, and I was just really proud of the defensive effort of this team and rebounding. We out-rebounded them by 12, and this is one of the better offensive rebounding teams in our conference.
The Louisville game, the Notre Dame game, your team was called for a lot of fouls or a lot of free throws for the opposition. State shot just 12 free throws the other night. Cal shoots just 5 this evening. They actually, led the ACC in free throws made and were third in free throws attempted on average. What is happening better defensively that is making sure that teams aren't going to the line as much?
Well, I just, it's something that we've talked about and identified from the start, that for this team to reach its full potential, we have to be good and locked in defensively. And one of the things that we've talked about is whatever it takes on the defensive end to be able to get a stop and be able to get a rebound. And, in leading up to great job of fouling, drawing fouls and getting to the free throw line. So, they were probably dreaming the stuff that we were talking about in terms of being disciplined on the defensive end, and they did a great job of that. I was really proud of them defensively and rebounding. The only box that we didn't check is we had more turnovers than assists, and that's something that we just got to continue to get better at.
Ian Jackson led the Tar Heels with 20. We've become accustomed or spoiled in seeing him do that. But Elliot Cadeau had 15 points. Trimble, nice to see him get back in a rhythm with 12. What did you see from those two guards this evening?
Yeah, I thought Elliot was in control the entire game. They were trying to go underneath his ball screens. He was really patient to be able to get the shot, whether for him or his teammates, the shot that we all wanted. And after the game, I said the MVPs of the second half were Seth, Jay Wash, Vin, and Jay Witt. I just felt like their overall energy and enthusiasm and effort really got us going in the second half. The reason why we were able to stretch the lead was because they were making plays all over the place. They were getting steals, rebounds, deflections, running the floor, finishing around the basket, knocking down jump shots. Those 4 guys were playing at a really high level, and I just felt like everybody was following them.
Last thing, Coach, this is 4 consecutive wins now for your team. As I said, 5-1 in conference play. We've talked about in general. What are you seeing that is allowing your team some more consistent play here over the last couple weeks?
Well, that's funny. So many people have asked, how are we improving, and I told them that I felt like our communication has gotten better, whether it's in the huddle, on the court, in the locker room. That's gotten a lot better. I feel like we're doing a better job protecting the paint and really thinking about ways to be even more in the paint to make sure teams don't drive and get to the basket, or easy post-up catches and different stuff like that. And obviously guys have stepped up. I think Jay Wash is playing at a higher level. Obviously Ian playing at a high level, and it was nice to see Seth get back to the way he was playing a little bit earlier this season.
All adds up to a 26-point win tonight for Carolina against California, 79-53 the final. Dave, I'm telling you, it's a good-looking jacket, a little plaque. It's the first time Coach has worn it. It's 1-0, so hopefully we see it again soon. Coach, congratulations on the win tonight.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Jones.
Alongside Seth Trimble after Carolina gets the win over Cal, we were talking during the game and said, this feels like the real Seth Trimble. Did you feel like you were a little more back to yourself tonight?
Absolutely. I was much more aggressive. I was assertive on the defense and offensive end. You know, I had my mind made up, and with whatever it is I wanted to do, everything was in rhythm. So it's definitely back to me today.
What takes longer to come back after you miss a couple weeks of game speed action? What does it take longer to get kind of back into the rhythm with?
Just the flow of the game. I mean, when you work out, you're shooting the ball well. Even when you're out, you work out, you do all this stuff. You're doing conditioning, but it's not a basketball game. You're not playing against another team. You're not going up and down. You don't have to make a read every play. So just making the right reads and just kind of getting back to that aggressive state is probably the most challenging thing when coming back from an injury, and I think that kind of showed in the SMU and state game for me.
What's the dynamic of this backcourt right now? When all four of you are doing what you do very well, it feels like for an opponent that would be very tough to defend.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be very dangerous. It's going to be very dangerous if we're running our four-guard lineup. If we have two guards in, two on the bench, no matter what it is, we're going to have dynamic guards on the court the whole time. And each and every one of us, we can kind of bring our own thing to the court and our own thing just to our game in each and every way. So it's something really special that, you know, can take us really far this year. 16
fast break points tonight. It felt like the Tar Heels were always just about a step ahead of Cal. How are you able to run that way?
HD just continue to preach run on us. You know, we kind of hear it from him on every rebound, so he's a great reminder. But we preach it and we practice it each and every day. When, you know, they miss a shot and we get the ball, we're out. We want to score in the first 5 seconds, first 3 seconds, whatever we can. We're always trying to play primary, is what HD says. So just continue to do that and emphasize that has been huge for us. You know, whenever we're getting out scoring and beating our teams and training a lot.
Talked a lot about Stojakovic at practice yesterday, and you spent a lot of time on him tonight when he did not have a good night. What was the game plan against him defensively?
Just to shut him down. Cal, they're like dead last in assists in the nation. Definitely in but in the nation. So we know they kind of play through players. They have their sets, they have their motions, but once that break down, it's, you know, who can play one-on-one defense. So we all took a lot of pride in that. Drake and I especially, but we were switching on and off. So Ian did a great job, RJ did, Elliot did, the bigs did, everybody did a great job on him tonight.
Coach Davis has talked a lot about it's not, well, last year he would say it's not just an Armando rebounding game, it's an everybody rebounding game. He said he's been saying that more this year. Cal still got 11 offensive rebounds, but not as many in the second half. Mm-hmm. What did you do better in the second half, rebounding-wise, to keep them off the glass?
We just raised our intensity with it. HD got on us in the locker room at halftime. They were controlling the offensive rebounds on their end, and it's something that we don't live by that. You know, we want to be the ones controlling it. We want to be the ones getting out on the offensive rebounds and then being dominant on the defensive end. So HD got on us, and, you know, we just had to have the heart and pride to get some boards.
Get some boards and get a big win. Man, it's good to have this guy coming back to full speed. Seth Trimble after Carolina beats Cal. Seth, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
79-53, the final score in the Smith Center. The Tar Heels have now won 4 in a row. They're 12-6 overall and are 5-1 in ACC play. Adam, Stanford coming to town on Saturday, and you and I have talked about this some on the audio version of the podcast. This is an important time of year for Carolina to try and get some wins in some games that they will be favored in and try to move more towards a more finished product and just figure out how Carolina wants to play, and it felt like another step in that direction tonight.
I think a thing about the way Carolina wants to play, this is the second straight game against a new ACC opponent where it's felt like that opponent was not able to play at the pace that Carolina wanted to play. Yeah. SMU couldn't really do it. Cal couldn't really do it. You've got another one of those coming to town on Saturday, and Stanford need to play that same way. The Tar Heels were really good looking ahead and just passing ahead in transition tonight. You would like to see them do that again against the Cardinal.
That is a 2:15, a little bit of a unique tip time on the CW TV-wise, but we'll be on the air at 1 o'clock. Radio-wise for that one, always fun to have a January Saturday in at the Smith Center playing an ACC game. Looking forward to that on Saturday. Again, 2:15 tip. We'll be on the air radio-wise at 1 p.m. for Carolina and Stanford. But for tonight, thank you, Modelo, for bringing the Carolina Insider Rapid Reactions edition after the Tar Heels beat Cal 79-53.